Welcome back, everybody, to another Dadam Reacts. Um, I love Carrie Ann Moss in a movie. I'm not really impressed with the direction that Star Wars has taken things, but let's find out. Is this just going to be another set of wokeness like that the fans are going to hate because they think it's going to be something it's not? Or is this going to be the next step in the Star Wars universe? And I will tell you, I don't care about original trilogy, new trilogy, old trilogy. I don't care about Jar Jar Binks. If the movie's good, if the series is good, that's all I care about. Um, let's find out.
Last night, a Jedi was murdered.
The Jedi justify their galactic dominance in the name of peace. But that peace is a lie.
Jedi are being hunted.
She was my student. I trained her. Let me be the one to bring her in.
I sense this is only a small part of a larger plan. Some sort of shift to tip the scales. It's time to face the past. Destiny is not decided for you by an anonymous force. If you want to pull the thread and change everything, then pull it.
What are you?
This might be go against popular convention right now. I don't know. 4.1 million people have watched it. There's only 69 upvotes. I feel like people are hating on Star Wars way more than they should. I don't know. That's one of my issues with. I love fandom and I also hate fandom. Um, but we'll go through it real quick. I'll let you know. I will watch this. It looks good. Um, I'm sure somebody out there hates it because it looks like the main characters are female and grow up. I don't give a shit. It's female, male, trans character. If it's an alien, if it's a robot, if it's a freaking tree, I don't care as long as the movie is good. Okay? Um Everything else aside, that's you, man. If you don't want to like something because you don't want to like it, that's your right. But that's not gonna stop me from enjoying something as long as it's good.
A Jedi was murdered.
I mean, all of this is from the team. All of those were good, right? Um,
The Jedi.
I love the Padawans. I love having younglings because they're underutilized. They're just a trope where Anakin kills a bunch of children and gets away with it. It doesn't get that doesn't get said enough. There is a storyline, and I believe it's called the Order of the Gray. And it's like I said, I'm not super versed. I know there's some Star Wars uber nerds out there, and I mean that's like there's just uber fans. I don't know. Is nerd derogatory now? Maybe it is. that would probably know the ins and outs of the Order of the Grey or all of that other fun stuff. But the thing that made Star Wars really good at first is that it came out at a time where the world was simpler and it needed simpler things. So you could attach yourself to the Jedi, right? That they were emotionless or like, and like that's a crock of shit, anyways. But um, the premise that you needed to have your emotions in control to be successful in mastering the Force, that's a great storyline. But also the thing that makes the Sith strong is that they don't have control over their emotions. And emotions are so powerful that it gives them the ability to tap into a darker side of the Force that they lose themselves to. That's also super powerful. And so when you have those nuances in between, and how do you think baby Jedi come about, right? They out there making them. It's just, why wouldn't two really strong Jedi make a strong Jedi baby? I love how we just don't talk about midichlorians anymore because that was just really dumb. Because it took away the magic of it. And if that's all the the new trilogy did was rewrite that mistake, and I'm okay with that. But
Justify their galactic dominance in the name of peace. But that peace
I'm liking the setting.
is a lie.
Obviously, this woman's got a bone to pick.
Jedi are being hunted. She was my
I love this scene, or like this right here. Not that, that's dumb. But this right here. So this is her, this is her when she's younger, right? And so we're setting the premise up that she's been involved with an order of, I would assume that these people are not like your standard Jedi. So either they are okay with using both dark and light powers, they are all Sith. You don't know. We don't know yet. I mean, I guess that's going to be the part of it. And then you have him who comes and saves him. And the thing that's funny about Star Wars fans for me is they get so uppity about this relationship of the Master and the Padawan because it doesn't meet up to Obi-Wan, or everyone's just trying to be Obi-Wan. Like, motherfuckers, that is literally how you train a Jedi. It's gonna have similarity to it. Like, why does that bother you? I don't understand. I've never understood the argument of this, is that no one's ever gonna live up to Obi-Wan's character. Let Obi-Wan be Obi-Wan. Like, get over it. Let there be somebody else. People learn in different ways in real life. Why won't they learn Force mastery in different ways in this universe? I do see a bow and arrow back here. I just wanted to point that out. So maybe this is like an order of Jedi that maybe are a little bit more like ancient, or like they feel like this version of Jedi, like the lightsaber, like is a a bastardization of the real. I don't know. They could go a lot of different ways with it,
I
but
trained her. Let me be the one to bring her in.
I really like. I can't remember his name right now, but I believe he's a Korean actor.
I sense this is only a small part of a larger plan. Some sort of shift.
And then, so like this scene right here, right, and this is where I'm thinking maybe they're just like an older or an off sect of Jedi, where you take a young Padawan and
I sense this is only
they're doing some sort of ritual right here. Whether these two scenes coincide, they're filming it, or they show it in the trailer as if they do, where you're seeing his eyes get clouded with darkness. So, is he being possessed, or is the dark side of the Force overcoming him? Something to that nature. I love they're flying through the Ice Titans right there. That's super cool. You know, clearly she's got a bone to pick.
Destiny is not decided for you by an.
Based off that, I think Carrie-Anne is probably the other guy's Qui-Gon, right? So that was his master. She is his Padawan. So like you have the 3 tiers, and she goes to kill Carrie-Anne. Carrie-Anne's character, which starts like the series, maybe she dies really quick. That would be sad, but so now like he's trying to save her from the darkness. Who knows?
If you
We'll
want
see.
to pull the thread and change everything, then pull it.
This right here, I love. So you know, you're taking whatever version of the Sith this is, right? This, the mask, the way that looks like teeth, dude, I love that. That looks so fire to me. Because it makes him look like a monster, right, or like some sort of creature. I love the way that looks.
What are you?
And then just the way he kind of like stutter steps when he moves. You know, like I said, I love the Star Wars universe, but I'm not so like. Right, I just realized I'm wearing my Mandalorian shirt of my boy, right? So, like I said, I love the Star Wars universe, but I feel like I actually appreciate that they're pushing the boundaries, or they're trying to evolve it into being a more complex entity than it really is, which, you know, I get it. When you're a fan, you don't want things to change, but the world is more complex, and we are more intelligent as an audience, and we need more complexity sometimes. And I know that's change is hard, but I like change. So I think I'm going to enjoy this. It could fail. It could fall flat on its feet. I don't know. Um, you know, and I'm going to be honest with you. I liked Obi-Wan, the series, when it came out. Obi, was that what it was called? But I only watched like 4 episodes of it because I kind of got bored with it. I loved that Hayden came back. I don't know. I just, maybe I just have Star Wars fatigue to some degree because there's just so much of it coming out like constantly. But I mean, like, so here's a good example. Rogue One. Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna use this because this scene to me is one of the best Star Wars scenes on the planet.
It's called
Hey Kiki.
HelloFresh.
Not sponsored by HelloFresh, but I will be if you want me to. Just send me an email and let's talk. Okay. This scene in Rogue One, which is crazy, is one of the best Star Wars scenes ever filmed. Period. Hands down. No questions asked. Okay. And what's crazy to me is because it's so powerful and it invokes every feeling of Star Wars that it should have. And I literally, when we saw this in theaters, I'm turning it up. To me, Rogue One was slightly a failure as a movie. This scene, I'm gonna find a better quality. This because I want to watch a better quality of it because that looks like it was good. Okay. Rogue One is a prequel to the original trilogy, which is funny because it's a prequel to a series that had prequels. For what it's worth, or for everything else that's happening, that doesn't matter. But anyways, this scene needs to set up, or what this movie needed to do was set up how a First Hope starts, or a New Hope starts, right? And it starts with failure, right? it starts with the Empire winning, right? The Resistance is failing. Um, this one's not high quality either, which is fine, but you went into this movie knowing that these people die because that's what we find out in the first movie. So we know they're going to die, but we know that they succeeded in stealing the Death Star's plans. Right?
Father would have been proud of you, Jin.
I really did like this movie, but I know why. I understand why other people didn't. And what an incredible score.
Disabled, my lord, but has received transmissions from the surface.
Prepare a boarding party.
Yes, my lord.
And I'm glad this one went all the way back because this is a super powerful scene. But everything leading up to this 3 minutes of the film, okay, is, for some people, I understand why they say it was subpar. The last 3 minutes of this film are quite possibly the best 3 minutes of Star Wars film ever. And I'll boldly say that because nothing sets this series up better than this. And I will preface it with this, okay? I love the Star Wars universe. I think there's flaws in every iteration of the trilogies. Okay. The first series fails because they were trying to, or I should say 1, 2, and 3, episodes 1, 2, and 3 fail because they filmed it differently. He went away from the puppeteering and the animatronics and stuff like that, and he started going with heavy CGI. And it made the films feel really different because you're getting away from the Jim Henson puppetry and just the beautifulness of how real Jabba felt and all that fun stuff. On top of, they were trying to appeal to children, so they changed the direction and the theatrics of it. And so you had, like, Jar Jar Binks for all his issues. But anyways, the coolest part about the original trilogy is freaking Yoda fighting against the one general. I can't think of his name right now. But that scene where Yoda's flipping around the freaking universe, because it's always like, oh, well, who's the best lightsaber fighter, alive? Oh, Master Yoda. The hell? We never saw Master Yoda use a goddamn lightsaber, right? But watching his ass flip around, and then they ruined it because he's making all those stupid ass noises, and he's like, and it was just like, is this like, it was dumb, but it was really cool. And then you had the robot general, was it Grix, and he's got 6 lightsabers, so you needed Anakin to use the dual saber, and then it's just like, you have all these things where they just hint towards things, and then you go to the originals, right? And lightsaber fights were awesome because they were new. We didn't have anything different, right? And they were amazing. And Mark Hamill was freaking awesome. I can't remember the guy who was originally in the suit, but the Vader scenes and the lightsaber scenes with him, it was just like, they hit different because they were less. And so they weren't very theatrical. Like the 1, 2, and 3, you really had Hayden Christensen and you had Ewan McGregor develop that dance, and it just became very beautiful, and it felt more like, if you watch any kind of movie from Japan or China when they do their choreography, the beautiful flowing motion of just how, like, the sword swims through the air, and it has like a very, like, rapier, like, jousting to it, and it's more about telling a story with that action as well. the first trilogy adopted that, and it just felt so much different because it doesn't exist in the next part of the trilogy, right? There's a little bit of it because they did have the wide flails and the lightsaber fighting was different, but it wasn't as involved. And then when you got to the new trilogy, when you got to 7, 8, and 9, I appreciated Adam Driver wanting his anytime he interacted with the Force, it was violent and it was visceral, and people hated that, and I don't know why. That was my favorite thing when he ripped a dude up in the air and then freaking shanks him, man. Oh my, I loved that, and I loved it because it's reminiscent to this scene because this scene needs to set up why people are afraid of Vader, and it doesn't make sense in the original trilogy why they're afraid of Vader. But then I have a minute and 30 seconds of Vader right here, and it sets everything I need to do. I need to know. And if all this movie did was succeed in this moment, this is why. And the chills I got watching this in theaters were incredible. Because this Vader doesn't give a fuck. This Vader is for the cause. And he is ripping people apart. And he's not doing the massive the saber flailing. And part of that is because his body's been destroyed. And then this is where the movie starts, right? This is where the trilogy starts. Now, the only thing I wish they did here, which would have been cool, is I know it. This is just me because I think it would have been cool is if he had reached out and stalled the ship a little bit with the Force, like he was the track. He's so strong that he actually stops the ship from moving slightly, and then once they hit the like they turn the power on full, like the ship just rips away easily. But just to show how strong he was with the Force, had he had gotten there and he kind of stalls that starship for a hot second, that would have been the cherry on the top here and would have made it. This is perfect, but that would have taken it from an 11 out of 10 to 100 out of 10 for me. But I muted it. And then, this is how we start A New Hope. It's perfect. Okay? Handing her the plans to the Death Star.
Your Highness, the transmission we received. What is it they've sent us?
Hope.
Now, the conversation about adding CGI characters and all that fun stuff, I think this is a moot point, and I will always have a hard stance on this. This technology exists. These actors need to be paid for it, but it needs to be written into their contract that in the unfortunate event of their death, right, as long as it's in the realm of respect of what they now, if they were to go film a bunch of sex scenes with her using her face, I don't think that's cool, right? But there's no reason why Carrie Ann's family and estate should not benefit from the money that she's rightfully due. And if they respect the character and the scene and it's written into their contract that they can use their likeness and their voice to finish the film or to be used sparingly or in small moments, I think that should be okay. And if they don't want it, they should be able to write that shit into their contract. You can't use it, recast me. I have a huge issue when movies recast characters, unless the actor died, and that's a different conversation. But anyways, you can't tell me that doesn't set up something more. And then, oh well, it's here. I'm gonna watch it. We're going in this, man. Hell yeah.
At Tate's.
But here's
We
the
know the
beautiful
best part of
difference
any-
between that version of Vader, right? Where that Vader was just ripping people apart. That Vader doesn't exist in the original trilogy at all. Just he's not there. He's there to some degree. He chokes the one dude, he kills the other. Like he's there, but he's not there in that capacity where he's just that's a badass mother right there, right? That is that dude's Banff, right? Um, you don't mess with that version of Vader, and I love that, and I'm for it. And it's like it's the best of both worlds because you get Hayden in the costume because Hayden's not in the costume in that other version, by the way. They did not have Hayden in Rogue One play that version of Vader in the costume, and I think that's a travesty. But anyways, that's here or there, and I don't know if Hayden was ready to play Vader, because after he filmed his trilogy, I don't know how well he was feeling because of the negative reviews because fans couldn't let go. But anyways, you have my reasoning for that is if he's so in tune with the Force, right? Why the hell would he not know whether he was alive or dead underneath those rocks? He should have been able to feel and like because they're so connected, he should have been able to feel that his Force was still like he was still alive, right? He was still using the Force and he could feel him creating that bubble. Like for me, the reason this I didn't like it as much and why I should have is the way that they cadenced out this scene was wrong. It should have been reversed to some degree where he gets weaker as opposed to getting stronger or Vader slash Anakin gets weaker depending on when those revelations come in because he just like stands there and just gets his ass beat for no reason as to where his internal strength or how they attest his strength. I like how they tried to make it to where he identifies him as Anakin here, but he should have gotten weaker and started losing the fight once he identified him as Anakin, not as Vader, because he could never kill Anakin. That's the premise of the story, as opposed to Vader at this point, he should have been 100% okay with killing. And that's where the fight's like it just feels like it's set and I felt like that for like pretty much this entirety of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series was I just felt like they were some really really powerful moments but they just didn't utilize them in a really good way. I was always expecting something to play out differently or to have a different effect, and I didn't like the way his like they messed with his power or like his ability to use the Force, and like I understand him like being overridden with guilt and just like struggling to do things. It just didn't feel it never felt adequate or it never felt right um to me. um I do like that acknowledgement there where I murdered or I killed Anakin, right? And because it really allows that other scene to play out where he's, um, you killed my father with the whole Luke thing, because he did. Like Anakin did essentially kill, or Vader did kill Anakin because in order for Vader to exist, Anakin has to cease to exist. Um, but I just feel like there's just so many times where it needs to go in directions, and it just feels like they get so stuck on the plot and letting things be organic or having them play out in a certain way, they just don't. And then you know with Ashoka, like getting to see Anakin fight in all those different moments was really really cool. And I appreciated the moment because they were trying to get to it, but I feel like they rushed to get to it and then the fight just lacked because of it. And I felt like that for a lot of those scenes in that movie. or in that show, and I think that's why I only watched 3 or 4 episodes, and then I waited to the end because I wanted to see it. And I'm curious if they're gonna do another season of it, how that would operate if they ever choose to again, or where they're gonna go with it. But then they went and did Ashoka, which was really, it was cool too. But yeah, like it's such a rich world, and they could do so much for it. I just went on a tangent for like 20 minutes to make my point. I love when they're changing, evolving, and adapting the Star Wars universe to feel more visceral, to challenge its own conceptions, because honestly, the original package was very plain to fit into that world. The world's more evolved now. There's more complexity to it, and the Star Wars universe needs more complexity because as it stands, there's just good and bad. There's not just good and bad. There's degrees. There's areas of gray. There's areas of understanding. And it's always interesting when I see people react negatively. I don't know if they're going to react negatively to this, but I know there's another Star Wars thing that people are losing their mind over, and they feel like it's all wokeness and 1,000 plus dis. Like I don't know why people hated this so much. I am curious to see an Eric Cartman version of Captain Kennedy. Uh, you know, I get see, and like this entire comment section is just filled with people roasting it. I'm not like the other girls. Like, yeah, see, look, here you go. Hell yeah, there you go. I'm gonna give that guy a like. Um, it's how do you know it's not a good story yet, and why do you guys feel like it's not a good story? Like, this is what I don't understand. Is from what I can see from this, they're going to try something new. They're going to try and go in a different direction. How do we know it's not going to work? How do we know it's not going to go dark, or it's not going to be like no one is safe from the truth? What if the truth is that the Jedi Order are a bunch of hypocrites and they're full of shit, which is what it seems like is there, and it's there for people to see, but if they just if they just bide the face value like telling of that story, they're never going to be like that, right? And I feel like in the new trilogy, that version of Luke is kind of like that, where he's just like, the Jedi Order is bullshit. They're all liars, right? Yes, to some degree, they do believe in these things, but ultimately, they believe in their version of the truth, and anyone else outside of it is the villain. And maybe we're all villains. Like, is that too real? How, like, that's kind of how the world is, man. America is somebody else's villain. Russia is somebody else's villain, right? Nazi Germany was the villain to the world for a long period of time. That doesn't mean Germany's the villain of the world now. That doesn't mean, they're trying to live, like, break away from that. And so I'm okay with them trying to explore areas like that. That doesn't mean it's going to be crap to start. It's a female lead character. Like, why?
But that is a lie.
Oh my god, it's a female lead character, and then there's another female Jedi. Like, this movie's gonna suck now. Like, what? Like, why is that the conversation? Who gives a shit? There's representation. It's an Asian Jedi, and then he looks like he's probably mixed, or he's he's not white. Are we complaining about this? Like,
are being hunted.
And by the way, the reason I think this scene right here is stupid. Why does this person need to be this freaking extra? for whatever was taking place there. Um, this is a full order of female Jedi, probably. Well, guess what? Whether it's Jedi, whether it's the real world, there are female versions of everything. Probably because they were persecuted or used as sex slaves or marginalized to some degree. It's just a simple fact of reality, right? And that doesn't have to be me white knighting a situation, um, right? And we can go back through time and find all the times where women, were put into bags and drowned to death because somebody could say they were a witch and murdered them for that, right? So who's to say that this isn't just like a version of a different way of telling a story about Salem witch trials? A group of Jedi that are seen to be evil because of whatever. No, I'm just super speculating. All I'm saying is this doesn't bother me. It will bother me if for some reason that's all this story ends up trying to tell, is they try to hamshoe some sort of political agenda into it that takes away from it. Yeah, well then it'll be crappy. And then it'll be crappy because it's a bad story that they ruined by trying to make it be something else. But just because I see this doesn't automatically make me feel like this is exactly what it is. How do we know that this isn't a like reincarnation of a different Jedi from the past, right? Where the Force is being passed down because it appears that they were trying to tell a story where there's some sort of connection between generational Force users, right? Where they can feel each other and speak to each other and they can learn from their past, which is kind of how the Force was supposed to be working and operating. So how is it that this couldn't potentially be a group of women that are protecting this girl, right? And they're protecting this girl because she is going to invoke or she's going to have a connection through the Force to someone extremely important that can unbalance the system. I don't know. They can do lots of things. That doesn't make it stupid, or that doesn't make it like they're trying to push an agenda. Now, if this is just a group of women that say all men suck and oh, okay, I mean, go for it. Your series is going to suffer and people aren't going to like it, but that doesn't mean a good story can't be told, right? Like, there was a movie that came out. It's called The Woman King. It's a real story about um, a tribe of African warriors that the king had all of his women learn how to fight, and they protected them, right? Whether there's a veil of like Hollywood corporation to that happened, yes, but the basis of that story still exists, where African tribes were selling slaves, and one king said he didn't want to continue selling his people, or he didn't want to continue selling the people of his land. Um, and the outcome of that was that, so maybe this is just a tribe of women Jedi. Why? Why does that have to say anything else other than that's an element of this story? The question is why? Why? Well, maybe this tribe of Jedi are women that were being used as, I mean, this is a Disney movie, so I don't know how far down the road they're going to go with it, but if you're going to try and say that Jedi never get to be human, well, we've proven that's not true. But who's to say that some old version of a Jedi Order had a group of Jedi women that they used as pretty much sex concubines, right? And through that generational transference of the Force happened. Well, if Jedi are out there sleeping with people and they have illegitimate children, those illegitimate children are going to have Force powers. Sorry. everything can't be perfect or everything can't just be cut and dry, that there's no degree of darkness in between it. It's just not possible. Maybe this is Mace Windu's a legitimate child. Who fucking knows, right? I'm sure that would put a stick up some Star Wars fans' ass. Who knows? I'm just saying. Whether I think I know or I don't know, I still have to give them the ability to tell a story.
I trained her.
I mean, this looks like the robot hand of... let's just get into that real quick, right? If I'm going to break that down. One of these people looked like they had a hand that was made out... It was like Anakin's android hand. I want to see if I can find it. Right here. Yeah, so see right here. This could be a blaster, or this could be someone's like mechanical hand. Or this is the bow. Actually, it's probably the bow. Okay, never mind. So that actually looks like the bow. But at first glance, because it's a real quick scene,
student. I trained her.
it could have been someone's robot arm.
What's your plan?
Or maybe did I see it here? No, those all look like real hands. Okay, maybe there isn't. But anyways, we know Anakin had a fake hand. So who's to say that that hand in the sand wasn't one of those? But anyway. All I'm saying is I'll watch it and I'll see if it's good. If the story's dog shit, then fine. Drag it through the mud. But not everything has to be the end of the world. I'm your father's brother's nephew's cousin's former roommate. I was in the Amazon forest with my mom when she was researching spiders right before she died. See, that's funny because they're making fun of a Marvel movie, okay? That was just a bad Marvel movie. That had nothing to do with anything else. Madam Web was just a shit movie because it had shit acting and shit story. It goes to future flops. I mean, what are you, a strong, independent American? And then I'm sure this is going to be... I don't understand these comments. I don't understand the people hating this. Because the only thing I got out of that is this could potentially be a good story. This could potentially be a bad story, right? But I'll give it the chance to be a bad story before saying it's going. But this is what I got out of it. That Sith helmet looked freaking awesome. And then the fact that its first movement was that weird stutter step it's about to take right here.
Pull it.
What are you?
Just that little head movement, the like that. I'm down. I want to see what that dude's about, okay? Now, they could kill him in 2 seconds, and then it's nothing. But I just like... It just takes a little bit of things or just a little bit of flair to create something or create a moment that gives you good opportunity. That helmet looked awesome. The head movement, it was just a little bit of one, but it was enough that it wasn't just like he just rushed forward, right? Or like he dodged smoothly to the left. There's just like that one little hesitation.
What are you?
That's enough. That's enough to make me curious. And I'm okay with that, right? And look, it's the one ring. So maybe someone's going to find Frodo's ring. I love when they're creative enough to try something. I hate when they're not creative enough and they're just trying just enough. Because then that just feels like a cash. Star Wars universe is massive. They can do so many things. Let them try. They're going to fail. Some of them are going to suck. But some of them are going to be good. And if we didn't ever let them try, then Rogue One would never have been made. And if Rogue One never had been made, then we wouldn't have that scene of Vader setting up the original trilogy that makes the original, like, that 3 minutes makes Star Wars better as a franchise, hands down. It's so good, so impactful, so beautifully done. It makes Vader a better character. It makes his struggle, his everything about him so much stronger. But if we didn't let them make a prequel, because why are they ever trying to do anything new in the Star Wars universe? Then we're never going to have moments like that. We're never going to have the ability to have really powerful, impactful changes or things that make other things better. And that's what sequels are supposed to do. They're supposed to enhance a story or enhance a world in a better way, right? Using the established criteria that exists. And the beautiful thing about the Star Wars universe is you have a magical energy that makes anything possible. That means you can do a lot. But I went down a rabbit trail. Chat went down a rabbit trail with me. Um, chat says, but what if we get another series of the Wookiee Christmas special, or even better, the Jar Jar Binks Christmas special? We might, man. But at least they tried. And who knows, maybe the Jar Jar Christmas special, it slaps, right? Maybe it's so culturally inappropriate that it's just like, it's good. Because sometimes things have to be so bad they are good, and I'm a big proponent of that. And if you had Jar Jar go meet his family, and it was just like one racial stereotype after another that they leaned into, it would be so bad that people could not stop talking about it, and it would do really well. 100%. I believe that 100% of the way. If they made a Jar Jar's family Christmas special where you went home and they were cooking like Jamaican food or like God, who knows what. I mean, we already went to the underworld, but like we never got to see Jar Jar's family. I mean, holy shit, dude. They could make it so ridiculous and racist and just culturally inappropriate. Oh my God, dude. Trust me. They could do horrible things. They did do horrible things. Yeah, they did. But I'm just saying, if they made it and it was that bad, people would not be able to stop talking about it, and it would make so much money. These people wouldn't they wouldn't be able to stop talking about it. They'd be memeing it, they'd be putting it all over the internet. There'd be so much advertising for it. There would be t-shirts and toys and just all sorts of stuff about how ridiculous it is. Sometimes you need a level of stupidity to virally market your stuff, because if people are talking about it or not, I mean, the only time it fails is when they're not talking about it. So I guess maybe the Acolyte's good in that. I wish they would show us how many dislikes it has. Oh, I didn't mean to dislike. I'm gonna like it. I'm gonna be one of the few. I hate that they don't show you that on YouTube. I know there's a way to check it. I just don't remember how, and I'm tired right now. Ugh. But anyways, I'll watch it and I hope it's good, and I'll give it a chance to be good. Just like I'll watch that M Night Shyamalan movie that I think is gonna be stupid, but I'm gonna give him the chance to surprise me. I like Jar Jar Binks. I like M Night Shyamalan. Good. I like the Star Wars universe. I want to see it evolve and I want to see it change. And if I was George Lucas, okay, if I was a person that created a universe and it ever got the love of the fans that it did, I would want them to expand it, and I would want the fans to enjoy those as well, right? It doesn't matter if I didn't write them. It doesn't matter if George doesn't write them. If they're within that universe, I would hope that whoever was adapting it or working on it or writing it, and I think that's the thing that gets lost, is a lot of times the people that are making these, they are fans themselves. They're just different fans than you, or the things that they love are different than what you love, and that's what makes the world beautiful. Is people are different. And maybe you're seeing a version of Star Wars from a fan that appreciates something else that you don't. That doesn't make it dumb or stupid, or doesn't make it something that you can't enjoy. Maybe the lesson to be learned is you get to see the world in a different way, or you get to see your story in a different way. Maybe that helps you assess or reassess or look at your story in a way, and as long as it doesn't destroy it, right? Um, or destroy your love for it. Which, if there's something that comes out and it can destroy your love for it, you probably didn't love it that much. It was something truly bad, right? Like, unless a Marvel movie came out where Captain America was literally freaking Hitler and starting concentration camps, right? And like this somehow became canon and like acceptable, I'm gonna love Cap, right? It's just I'm gonna love him. And if Cap goes dark and he's killing people and he's struggling and like that's the version of the story they're gonna write, which I'm sure they've written something like that where Rogers Steve goes off on a tangent like where he kind of murders people like the Punisher. Um, I'm just saying, I wouldn't let that version of a character destroy my love for Marvel or my love. Like they even did the What If series, right, where they changed everything. Um, but like that's when things evolve and grow and become more complex. I love. I'm the type of person that loves. I love when video games do it. I love when movies do it. I love when books do it. I love when books try to do it. Harder, but it doesn't happen. What I don't love is when they try to create the same box over and over again and just put different wrapping paper on it, and then inside of it it's the same exact thing, and then they tell you that you have to like it because it's a part of it when it's not necessarily. But again, different conversations for different things. I hope you've enjoyed this giant Star Wars rabbit hole I went down. That I was not planning off of watching this small ass trailer. But this is Dadam reacts to the Star Wars universe and Star Wars fandom that I think needs to just take a step back and calm down and just let things breathe. Because they would be surprised with the result. Um, and I say that from experience because I used to let my inability to remove myself emotionally from things like that, or like my relationship, or like having met certain actors in real life, I wasn't able to disassociate myself from those other feelings to enjoy things, and that hurt because I've gone back and I've watched some of those movies that originally I really hated, and my apologies to Ben Affleck. He probably doesn't remember meeting me, but he was an asshole, and I don't really like Ben Affleck movies because of that. But I don't believe Ben Affleck is an asshole in real life. I think you meet people at certain times, and maybe they're not in the best of moods, and that's not a commentary on them, right? Um, we're all humans going through things. Sometimes you just don't have the ability to put on the clown face, be in the circus. But drop a like, subscribe. Let me know if you're gonna hate this, right? And are you gonna hate this because you think it's truly bad and you don't like anything in this trailer? Or are you gonna hate it just because you feel like you need to hate it like everybody else? Are you gonna hate it because EA is making a really bad Star Wars game that's getting a ton of publicity, where everyone hates it because the main character is a female that looks like a weird puppet, like facial expressions in the trailer is really bad. Um, or if you're gonna hate it because you're a OG original trilogy, Mark Hamill loving Jedi, and anything that doesn't have the original trilogy in it is garbage, right? I hope it's not that way, and I hope you could learn to love aspects of any of the other ones. But if that's how you are, man, that's your choice, right? And I'm sorry that you can't enjoy the hundreds of hours of Star Wars that exist in other forms and platforms. There's tons out there. But most importantly, something kind for somebody else in the world. Because you never know when you're going to meet Ben Affleck. And he's just having a really bad day. That's not his fault. Yes, I really did meet Ben Affleck.